Do you like it better being on your own or working within the confines of a
I'm
corporation?
learning I like it better on my own.
Why is that? What is it? What is it about working by yourself or working without a
It's
boss?
the freedom. It's the no one's up my butt to get stuff done. The downside is you work all the time. So when you're like, yeah, I can work when I want to, except apparently when I want to is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it feels like what I do.
Hey, I'm Michael Sheridan. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. This week, we're kicking off a series of interviews we did with local filmmakers and creators and actors who live in the Lehigh Valley. Now, I don't think I've actually specified this, but I'm based in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, and the idea for these interviews is to talk to local creators, local filmmakers, and get insights into their process and how they work and what their careers have been like. And hopefully give advice and a chance for people to see creatives who don't necessarily live in any of the metropolitan areas like New York or LA. You know, that's where all the focus always is. But there are video creators, actors, and performers and producers who live everywhere. They're everywhere in this country. You don't have to be in those areas in order to make a career for yourself in video production or as an actor. You know, there are opportunities everywhere. And I'm hoping that this collection of interviews will give an insight into what it's like to be one of those types of people, and just to maybe show you that it is possible to make films or to make videos or to work in that kind of business and not live in one of the major cities. First up is Craig Friebolin. Now, he runs ubiFire, a commercial video production company in the Lehigh Valley area. He's an extremely creative guy. I've worked with him on several short films and other projects, and I think he's a really good guy. And in our little chat, we talked a little bit about his business and what it's like to be a commercial video producer, and kind of the ups and downs of it. You know, if you're interested in doing it, what do you need to know? What's important? But also the challenges of doing that, and what it's, you know, what the day-to-day is like, what the grind is of having to do that kind of hustle all the time, plus try to balance, you know, the creative things that you want to do. But that's enough preamble. Let's get into the interview with Craig.
Hello, my name is Craig Friebolin, and I am from Allentown, Pennsylvania. I'm a Capricorn. Oh wait, that's not what you meant.
Not dating app.
We do video production. It's ubiFire video production in the Lehigh Valley, and we do commercials and web stuff and corporate stuff and film stuff and all kinds of video production.
Because I know you did music too in the past, right? So which was your passion? What was the thing that you really kind of wanted to do?
Music was my thing for the longest time. Like, I did music stuff for a very, very, very long time, all through the web stuff and part of the video stuff.
And how much of that do you think is a split between the commercial stuff and doing like short films or like narrative, I guess, projects?
It is at least, if not more than 85% commercial, 15% like film and short films and stuff.
And then where, for the commercial stuff, is that for television? Is that for
some of it's for television, some of it's for corporate videos. So like, it's the Fast and the Furious, yeah! So now I add another percent for Fast and the Furious. The other part is corporate videos, you know. So a talking head video or an HR video, or there's been countless ones. So, and then there's some social media video, like we just did a thing that's only going on social media.
Now, you're based in Lehigh Valley. Is that like the where the most bulk of your work ends up being shown, or do you do things on a national?
There's been some national stuff. It's mostly in the general Northeast Pennsylvania region. I don't think we've had, yeah. But we're now going to offer a cinema package, and the people involved with that have done tons of national ads, and now we're involved with them ever since shooting a movie with Danny Roebuck, and we're going to start offering national ad quality, big camera stuff as an option if you want to get it from ubiFire.
You are gear obsessed. Is
A little bit.
that what drives that? Is it because you just like the gear, or is it you feel like you've always got to keep reinvesting and upgrading and keeping ahead of the curve?
What generally happens with us is we'll get we'll do a few gigs, and then the next gig will come along and there'll be something that we're going to need for that, like a podcast system. We didn't buy a podcast system because we wanted a podcast system. We had a client that wanted to do podcasts, so we invested in a podcast system. I'll never forget when I bought a GoPro. I've used the GoPro twice. I didn't need a GoPro. Rarely does that happen where you invest in a piece of gear that you're never going to use again. But lights and stands and so on and so forth, stuff that you need often, you invest in that, and then that becomes part of your arsenal. And then you're ready for the next client who needs that exact same thing.
And then how often do you find, like you just mentioned, like you bought the one thing and then never use it again?
That's happened maybe 3 times. And it's not that I've never used the stuff again, but it didn't make its money back. Like I didn't use it enough on client stuff to say, oh yeah, it paid for itself.
So you think is that part of the trick of balancing, to try to figure out like when do you invest and when it's, that maybe I'm going to need it's be helpful for this thing, but I'm never going to use it again.
The math on this is complicated because when you invest is when you're going to lose a client. Sometimes it's just best get the thing, keep the client. If the client's paying enough for you to rent it, and let's say you make no money, you're not going to buy it. You're going to rent the piece of gear. You rent it. You make no money on that first thing, but you keep that client. You keep that client happy. We're big on customer service. Like we will kiss your butt to get done what you need to get done.
So if somebody is looking to get into this business now, I mean, they're always filmmakers, right? Always figuring like, well, I can pick up a camera and I can shoot. I can do commercial work. What is something that they need to be considering if that's something that they want to go after to try to get some freelance work?
So there are these people we call guys with a camera, right? And they're video production. They have a camera and maybe a light, and some stuff. And they'll go out and do a shoot for dirt cheap, hundreds, a couple $100. But that's not going to sustain them. They're not going to be able to keep up because once their camera becomes irrelevant, nobody's going to want to hire them, but they didn't make enough money to reinvest in the company. I think you see a lot of those go by the wayside because they're just not keeping up. They don't factor in, oh, I need a website and insurance and everything else. So they keep their prices very cutthroat. They get some gigs, but then when the big gigs come, they can't handle it because they just don't have what they need to get it done. Excuse me. That's my COVID. COVID joke. So not funny. So anyway, it starts with a guy with a camera. You get a couple of jobs, but make sure that you make enough money that you don't spend all the money that weekend, that you can put a few dollars aside to buy the next thing. And you don't have to buy, the next big camera, but you should incrementally increase your inventory and what you need to accomplish a bigger goal.
When somebody's looking to make a project or do their thing, how obsessive do they need to be over that stuff? Do they need to be on that kind of level, or do they have to be down here? Like, what's a healthy level of obsession?
It depends on the project. There's no healthy level of obsession for a project. There's a healthy level of obsession for a business, but for a project, if you have a phone and you want to make a film, use your phone and make a film. And if it's entertaining, it's entertaining, the end. But if you want to get into the business of making movies, you might need a light or two. Or if you want to get into business doing video production, which is not making movies, it's making videos like Corporate Talking Heads and so on and so forth, you're going to need the right gear to get it done. That's when staying ahead of the curve can be helpful.
It seems to me like sometimes people will do that and then they'll obsess over the gear, and then it's really just, they kind of use it as an excuse. Like, well, I can't do this because I don't have X, Y, and Z.
There's a minute amount of truth to that, because sometimes you truly have a vision, and if you don't have the gear to make that vision happen, then you just, you can't. who I feel like there's a few famous Hollywood directors I've heard say, I didn't want to make this movie because the technology didn't exist yet. And now it's here. So now I'm making this movie. So that happens because, their vision, technology hasn't caught up to the vision.
That's interesting. All right, that's a good way of looking at it, though. I like that. That's a more positive way, I guess, of looking at it.
Rather than, you lazy piece of poop, you're not doing it because you don't have the latest GoPro, which you used once on a car commercial and then never really used again. What?
We had a conversation once before about filmmaking and making movies. And is that something that you've wanted to do, like actually make your own short films? I mean, you've worked on other people's. We've worked together on other people's, but is that a goal of yours? Is that an end result for you, that you want to be a filmmaker or you want to make a film?
I don't know if it's the end result, but it's something I absolutely want to do. And normally we used to get a little slow around November and December. That has not happened the past 2 years in a row. So normally I would start a project like writing some stuff and getting creative and doing my personal projects in November and December. There has been absolutely no time. As a matter of fact, I got other people with their creative projects. Hi, Mike Walsh, harassing me on text. Did you read my script? No, Mike, I haven't. I haven't had 2 seconds. I'm very, very busy. I'm going to read it. I promise. Just haven't done it yet. I have a film that I'm working on. And by working on, I mean started a long time ago, but it's not the kind of project where I go, yeah, I started it, but I'm not going to get back to it. I fully intend to get back to it. But in its current form, it would be either the longest short film ever or a just feature length-ish. So it's pretty long at the moment. So I'm debating on what I want to do. I think I want to do it as a feature.
As you said, you've been doing this for years. Do you feel like you've ever actually reached a point where, you've got it all figured out and you know what you're doing all the time and you've learned everything there is to learn?
No, it constantly changes on top of it. And I don't have time. I was telling somebody recently, all I do is spend all day on the phone. I'm on the phone or I'm at a shoot. That's it. And there's no time to edit or do all the other things I need to do, like update my website or demo reel or any of that stuff, or read your script, Mike Walsh. I'm getting there. I have a shoot that we did 3 months ago that was more personal than business. And I've had 2 seconds to edit it, and it's a much longer. I need a lot of time to do it. And I'm still freaking out that it's not done.
I did a recording for another episode on the channel the other day, and I was talking about my experience in at film school. I took a film class, and one of the things that I took away from it was everybody else in my class I was 10 people in my class. When we did the course and finished it, only 3 of us actually finished. Everybody else sort of fell away and then dropped out and didn't do their final project. Because I think in the end, they didn't know how much work actually was involved.
Yeah. The figuring out, like, people have these like rough ideas, like, oh, a guy goes into a store and then he becomes an angel. And then, how do you get from A to B to C? And then, oh yeah, do you have a store to film in? How much is that going to cost? How much crew do you need? And all this stuff that you have to figure out. And just, let's say you get past all that. You got to write out every single shot. There's a lot of paperwork involved in filmmaking, surprisingly.
And if there was somebody who wanted to say, look, I love what you do and your work that you're making, and I want to be able to do that. So where do they start?
Like anything, you start with passion. Don't make a conscientious decision that I want to do this. Like, oh, I don't know what to do with my life. I think I'm going to go to school for something. Then I'll look through a list and pick something. If you don't want to do it, if you don't really, really want to do it, don't do it. If you have a passion, then this question is moot because you will have already started. You will figure out what's available to you, what you can do, and how to start, and you will start. If you haven't done that, odds are you don't really want to do it. I learned that when I used to teach. I used to have a bunch of students in my class, and there'd be like 20 people in the class, and there'd be 3 that you knew were going to do what they came to school for a living, because when they went home, they did it. They were interested. They had a passion for it. The rest came back like, oh, I'm at school and I got to learn this stupid thing so I can get a job. And then they would leave school and I'd see them working road construction. True story. Like, I knew you weren't going to do this. You just wasted a ton of money. Like, you need some passion.
Now I'm just trying to think, like, we need to exit out. We need to have an exit.
Should we say one important thing? It's New Year's Eve, and me and Mike have nothing better to do than this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, that's New Year's Eve in 2020. I'm sure on any other New Year's Eve we probably
This wasn't on my 2020 bingo card, but now it is.
All right, then we're going to end it on that one. We're going to end it on that note right there. And Craig, I thank you for coming on, and I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I'll leave you with this scenic view of Allentown. Freeze!
Okay, and that was our interview with Craig Friebolin. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some kind of insights into there. And if you have any questions for Craig, just let us know in the comments below, because I would love to do, and I will undoubtedly try to rope him in to do another follow-up interview to talk about some other subject. We have some other interviews with other people coming up. It's going to be great, and I hope you guys tune in. And I want to again remind you, if you want to keep getting notifications about these videos that we're posting every week through all of 2021, you got to hit that subscribe button. You got to ring the bell. And don't forget, give the videos a like. It's always appreciated, you know? It's nice to see. It makes us feel better here at Maynard Films. So, I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.